reminding. Okay, started recording already, right? Okay, good. Thanks. Thanks for reminding. Because I heard someone typed the message, I already knew it's the recording part already. Okay, so it's all recorded, right? Recording messages, and I'm recording this session. Okay, good. Okay, so I mentioned that the total marks is 25 marks. So most marks will come from your consolidated balance sheet. Okay, okay, do not need to worry. When you get console question, usually student will panic. So I'm going to share with you some of the tips here. What you need to do is first thing first, don't panic. Always work out your group structure. Okay, now I'm going to throw the question to the whole class. Who is the parent company? Can you tell me who is the parent company? Can you tell me who is the subsidiary? Do we have non-controlling interests? And what is your date of acquisition? And what is your balance sheet date for this question? Okay, so let's try. Let's try to guess who is the parent, who is the subsi. Okay, can anyone want to try? Okay, Nurul said Penang is the parent, correct? Okay, so we have Biggie said parent, Nurul said parent, you Rachel said Penang is parent. Okay, Alvin, you mentioned Penang Berhad owns 80% of Bangkok, NCI 20%. Okay, now what is your date of acquisition for this question? And also, good, Pravish, I call you Pravish, okay, right? Pravish say 1st June, correct? Day of acquisition. How about balance sheet date? Vishnu is fine. Okay, Vishnu, I call you Vishnu. What is your balance sheet date? Leong mentioned 30th September. Correct. Very good. Okay, how do you figure out your balance sheet date? If you do not know, always go back to your question. The question asks you to prepare two consolidated financial statement, right? On 30th September 2017. Okay, you all have actually worked out your group structure. That is the starting point for your console. Very, very good here. So Penang acquire Bangkok. Okay, and the percentage is 80%. We have non-controlling interest, 20% here. Okay, and your classmate mentioned that date of acquisition is 1st June 17, and your balance sheet date is 30th Sep 17. Okay, now I have another question. Effectively, Penang and Bangkok, they operate as a group for how many months up till your balance sheet date? Okay, let's ask the whole class. So Penang, Bangkok, 4 months, Rachel said. Vishnu mentioned 4 months. Correct, very good. 4 months. June, July, August, September. Okay, these 4 months is very, very important here. So I will put 4 over 12 and make sure that you put an asterisk here. 4 over 12 of the month, Penang and Bangkok operate as the group. So the remaining 8 months, Penang and Bangkok is not a group yet. Okay, okay, so that is the important information. Okay, after that, what do we do? After working out your group structure, what is the next step? Do we straight away go to your journal entry adjustment? Or if you scan your balance sheet for Penang, can you find anything on investment in subsidiary? You look down in your asset, no, right? Don't have, right? So what must you do is you have to calculate investment in subsi. So how much Penang pay to buy over Bangkok? Okay, so I'm going to move to the next slide. Okay, so now what we must do is we have to calculate investment in Bangkok. Okay, so how does Penang buy Bangkok? They use two methods. Unlike your first tutorial, which is simple method. So the first method, what do they use is you refer to this part of the question. Okay, I put an arrow here. The consideration consisted of two methods. Number one, first method is a share exchange of 3 shares in Penang for every 5 shares acquired in Bangkok. Okay, stop there. Okay, what method do they use? They use share exchange. Okay, what is this share exchange? They say that for every 5 shares Penang acquire in Bangkok, Penang issue additional 3 of their own shares. So this share exchange is actually Penang issue their own shares, more of their shares to buy Bangkok. So how do you calculate this share exchange? Anyone can want to give a guess? How do you calculate this share exchange? For every 5 shares that Penang buy in Bangkok, they issue additional 3 shares. So what will be your fraction here? Let's check the chat room. Anyone want to take a guess or not sure? You can put not sure how to calculate share exchange. Okay. Nurul mentioned not sure. Okay, don't worry. If you're not sure how to calculate, because the example is slightly different from first tutorial. Vignesh also not sure. Anyone else? Okay, the fraction ratio mentioned is 3/5. Correct, very good, 3/5, but you have to times by something, right? Okay, the equation is not complete yet. Okay, any more idea? 3/5 times by the share price. Okay, the share price is correct. Whose share price? Question mark. Nurul times 4/12. Nope, don't times by 4/12 yet. Keep that one aside first. Okay, Leong mentioned times 5 million. Very good. Okay, I'm going to show you the full equation now. Okay, your classmate mentioned, I think Rachel mentioned, is 3/5 because they say that for every 5 shares in Bangkok, Penang issue extra 3 shares. Okay, times by the number of shares. Whose shares is it? You have to go to Bangkok. Bangkok is your sub-C. So if you look at the equity shares of 1 ringgit each, the total is 5 million ringgit. So we know 1 ringgit, so the number of shares is 5 million shares. I think Leong mentioned 5 million, correct? Remember, don't forget that Penang only owns Bangkok 80%. So you have to times by 80%. And then you times by the share price. I think your classmate mentioned share price, correct. But whose share price? Penang issue extra shares, right? So if you look at here, I put an arrow. At the date of acquisition, share price is in Penang, the market value is 5 ringgit. And then they say that Bangkok has a share price of 350. Because Penang issue more of their own shares, you have to take 5 ringgit, Penang's share price. So the total share of exchange should be 12 million ringgit. Okay. Okay. So far, okay. Let's check the chat room. Okay. So far, is everybody okay? Which is good. I can see that you all gave the answer. Fraction is correct, and then you give the 5 million also correct. So if you combine everything together, you will get 12 million ringgit. Okay. Fong say yes. Vishnu, Miss, can you explain that 5 ringgit again? Okay, this 5 ringgit, why do we use 5 ringgit? Because Penang issue more of their own shares. So therefore, you have to use Penang's share price. So this 12 million ringgit means that Penang issue extra 12 million ringgit of their shares to buy over Bangkok. Okay, so that's the reason why you use 5 ringgit. Okay. Okay. If everyone is good, we are going to go look at the second method. They not only use shares, but they use another way. Okay. What is the second way? Okay. If you continue on with the sentence, okay, I put here bracket, and the issue of 100 ringgit 6% loan note for every 500 shares acquired in Bangkok. Okay, they use 6% loan note. Okay, what is this 6% loan note? Okay, this 6% loan note would mean that Penang go to Bangkok's shareholder to buy the shares of Bangkok. Okay, and they go to the shareholders of Bangkok. They say that I want to buy this amount of shares from you, but I will not pay you the money first. So therefore, they issue this loan note. So meaning this loan note is the amount that they owe to the Bangkok shareholders. And how much do they issue that loan note? If you read here, um, they issues 100 ringgit, 6% loan note for every 500 shares acquired in Bangkok. So for every 500 shares Penang buy in Bangkok, they issue this 100 ringgit 6% loan note. Okay, so how do you calculate is your sub C share or your Bangkok shares is 5 million, right? Correct. And then they say that Penang for every 500 shares. So you divide by 500 times by how much is the loan note? RM 100 ringgit. And don't forget your percentage, because Penang only owns 80%, so you times by 80%. So this loan note here, the value is 800k. Okay, and what do? You add these two, total up this figure together. So total investment in Bangkok is 12.8 million. Okay, take note students, this loan note here in your consolidated balance sheet, this loan note here has to be recognized as a liability from the group perspective. Why? Because this amount here, 800k, is the amount that the group owe to the shareholders of Bangkok. So this is shareholders of Bangkok is a third party, is not part of the group. Okay, so I hope it explains the 6% loan note here. So now I'm going to take some question or queries from the whole class. Okay, so class, do you have any queries about this 6% loan note? Okay, good, Rachel. Any more? Like, how about the rest? Jason, no. Nurul, no. That means it's quite clear. Like, how do you calculate your 6% loan note? Okay. Okay, and then you can see I total up the figure already, 12.8 million. Okay, this 12.8 million here, if you look at my highlighted sentence. Okay, wait. Vishnu has a question. Do we need to do anything about that 6% for now? Okay, good question here. Later on, this 6% here, you would have to show it in your worksheet as a liability, 6% loan note. Okay, right now, you don't need to do anything first. Okay, right now, just assume that it is the total here is investment in Bangkok. Okay, you can see that I have highlighted the sentence here. The share issue and loan note has not been recorded by Penang yet. So what must you do now is you have to show your journal entry to record the purchase of Bangkok. So what is your journal entry? You buy company. So your journal entry will be very similar to first tutorial. Can anyone want to tell me what is your journal entry? Debit. What must you debit? And then what must you credit? Come, let's. Anyone want to try? Penang buy Bangkok, right? So Penang buy Bangkok. This is an investment to them. So what does Penang need to do? Debit investment in Bangkok. And how do they buy Bangkok? They use shares. So you have to credit share capital 12 million and they use loan note. Loan note is a liability. They have to credit 6% loan note. Okay, I will show you the journal entry here. Okay, if you look at this part here, you don't need to copy it because this is the same working as the previous slide. So you can see here that to record the purchase of Bangkok in Penang's account. So what must you do is you show your journal entry, debit investment in Bangkok, 12.8 million, credit share capital, and credit 6% loan note. So later on in your worksheet, don't forget you have to put or adjust into your consolidated balance sheet. Okay, let's check the chat room. Okay, is everyone okay up to now? Okay, so far we have worked out the group structure, and then after that we calculate the investment in Subsea, and then we show the journal entry. So far from A to C, is everybody doing okay with the process? Okay, very good. I have some feedback here. Okay, all good, right? Jane say yes, Biggie say yes, GL say yes. Okay, so before we go into the next step, what I want to do first is I want to calculate your non-controlling interest. Okay, this non-controlling interest you learn in lecture 1 that you can use two methods. Use fair value to calculate your non-controlling interest, or you can use the net asset of subsidiary. Okay, which method do you use? Don't need to crack your head. Don't need to worry. Refer to your tutorial question. Okay, go back to the adjustment here, tutorial question. I put an arrow starting from this sentence. Penang's policy is to value non-controlling interest at fair value at the acquisition date. So what method do they use? They use fair value method. Okay, fair value method, how do you calculate? Now I'm going to ask the class. How do you calculate your non-controlling interest using fair value? Okay, anyone want to try? Anybody want to try to Jia Ping? Share price, correct? Times by number of shares, correct? Times by 20%. Very good. You get the formula already. Okay, now you have to plug in the figures inside the formula. Okay, number of shares, share price. Okay, whose share price now? Because we calculate non-controlling interest, right? So you would have to use Bangkok's share price, which is RM 350 times by number of shares. So subsidiary has 5 million shares. That is the number of shares. And don't forget NCI only owns 20%. So your total NCI is, I believe, is 3.5 million. And take note that this NCI you calculated is on 1st June 2017. So that is on your date of acquisition. Okay. Okay, so we have completed NCI here. Okay, let me ask the class. After that, what do you need to do? So what is the next step? Do we straight away go to worksheet? Do we do elimination journal entry adjustment? Or do we do goodwill calculation? Okay, what is the next step? Okay, you can see here that we calculated NCI already, right? And for this question, it's very obvious that the next step you have to do is you have to calculate goodwill. So I'll just key in the chat room here. You would have to calculate your goodwill calculation. Okay, for goodwill, always remember that for goodwill, when you calculate goodwill, you have a formula, which is consideration plus non-controlling interest, and then you minus your equity or your net asset of subsidiary plus any fair value adjustment, and then you will calculate or you will get your goodwill calculation. Okay, I'm going to show you goodwill calculation next. So this goodwill computation, if you refer to your tutorial question, I really prepare the table for you, right? But for final exam, you are supposed or expected to prepare this goodwill computation calculation or working table yourself. Okay, so what do we do is we always start off with consideration. Okay, this consideration is actually your investment in Sub-C. Okay, and your investment in Sub-C, the total is actually 12.8 million, but I actually split it into two. So I put shares 12 million, and then I put loan note 800k. So this is to show you that the investment in Sub-C consists of two portions here. So the total here is 12.8 million. And then your NCI, you have calculated earlier, it is 3.5 million. Okay, so you add up these two figures here, it is 16.3 million. Okay, so far so good, everyone. Just to double check, I think it's a bit dark. Or is it too glaring? Okay, so far is everyone doing okay? Okay, just show some thumbs up or put an emoji. Okay, yes, huh? Okay, very good. Okay, so the top part of your goodwill calculation ready, you have calculated. Now the bottom part. So the bottom part is the hard part here. So the bottom part here, they say less net asset of Bangkok, which is the equity of your Bangkok. And take note that goodwill you always calculate on 1st June, which is on your date of acquisition. Okay, first thing first, your equity of Sub-C. So your equity of Sub-C on 1st June, the value is 5 million. You can see in your balance sheet, your equity of shares of Bangkok is 5 million. So this Bangkok equity does not change from 1st June all the way up to 30th September is still 5 million ringgit. So you put there 5 million. Okay, now we have to look at what are the other equities of Bangkok. So other equities of Bangkok, if you look at here, is your retained earnings. Okay, but take note that these retained earnings in your balance sheet, RE, is actually retained earnings for the whole financial year up to 30th September, and this figure here is 4.5 million. So now I'm going to ask the whole class, can we actually take this 4.5 million and then put it inside our goodwill calculation? Can we do that? Is it right if we use no, right? Vishnu say no, Leong say no, Jane say no. Okay, why no? Because your goodwill, you are supposed to calculate, okay, ratio mentioned 4/12. Okay, 4/12, correct here, 4/12, but there are more steps to do. Vishnu say 4 extra months. Okay, what we want here is on your goodwill calculation, your retained earnings has to be pre-acquisition retained earnings. Pre-acquisition retained earnings, what do you mean by pre-acquisition retained earnings? Okay, let me draw the timeline. Okay, your date of acquisition is 1st June, correct? Your balance sheet date is 30th Sep 17. So anything before 1st June is known as pre-acquisition retained earnings. Okay, this pre-acquisition retained earnings has to be eliminated off. So that is the retained earnings that we are interested in when we calculate our goodwill. Okay, so how do we calculate our pre-acquisition retained earnings? Okay, question mark. So now I'm going to ask all of you again. What is retained earnings? What accounts do you transfer to retained earnings? Can anyone guess? So what must we do? Revaluation? No, not revaluation. Yes, very good. Profit here, Jiaping. Profit. So right now, what must we do is we have to look at the profit figure. So we have to do extra step here. So how do we calculate? You go to SCI. Okay, go to Bangkok's here, Bangkok, and look at their profit for the year. So their profit for the year 30th Sep is for Bangkok is 3.9 million. Okay, so what do we know is this profit is made, and you can split the profit to pre-acquisition profit and post-acquisition profit. Okay, pre-acquisition means that this profit is made before Bangkok and Penang become a group. Post-acquisition profit means that this profit is made when parent and Bangkok becomes a group. So your classmate did mention 4/12, right? So how do we calculate post-acquisition profit? Take 4 divide by 12 times by profit for the year. So I think we get, not mistaken, let me check my answer, is 1.3 million. So this 1.3 million out of that 3.9 million is actually profit made after they become a group. So how do we calculate pre-acquisition retained earnings? You just take 4.5 million minus your post-acquisition profit 1.3 million. So your figure here will be 3.2 million. So what do you do now? Plug it inside there. So your pre-acquisition retained earnings is 3.2 million. Okay. Now let me ask the class. So far, is everyone okay? Is my explanation clear for how do you get your pre-acquisition retained earnings? Okay, for this question here, we need to find out the pre-acquisition retained earnings because our balance sheet date is not the same as your date of acquisition. Unlike tutorial 1. Tutorial 1 very simple because balance sheet date is the same as date of acquisition, right? So straight away your retained earnings, you use it as your elimination, or it is known as your pre-acquisition retained earnings. Okay, so anyone wants to pose some question or everyone is doing okay? You can share some emoji here as well. Okay, very good. All thumbs up. The rest of the students? Fahim say yes. Vishnu say okay. Rachel say okay. Piggy also say okay. Anchi, Gia all okay. Okay, very good. I guess good. Okay, Alvin, if you a bit lost, never mind. Later on, you can watch back the video recording. Okay, so what I will do next is you can see in my table there, fair value adjustment. Okay, so fair value adjustment, we know that if subsea asset is not at fair value on the day of acquisition, you have to adjust to the fair value. Okay, so you look at the question here. Okay, start from this part. At the acquisition date, the fair value of Bangkok asset is the same as the carrying amount, except for one, property. Okay, so they say that property had a fair value below its carrying amount, 1.2 million. So what do you mean by 1.2 million is you do not need to compare fair value with carrying amount. Straight away, you adjust this figure 1.2 million. And they say that property is below 1.2 million. So you have to reduce your property by 1.2 million. So your fair value adjustment here minus 1.2 million. Okay, I think some student correct, very good. Credit 1.2 million. So you can see here a goodwill computation, right? Credit, right, minus 1.2. So if you add that total figure up together, 7 million. And then find the difference, that is your goodwill. Okay. Then from here, you know your journal entry adjustment already. Investment in sub-C, eliminate against equity in sub-C. Recognize goodwill, recognize non-controlling interest. So I'll just show you the journal entry. Credit investment in Bangkok, 12.8 million. And then eliminate against equity. Debit equity shares, 5 million. Debit pre-acquisition retained earnings, 3.2. Credit property, reduce property by 1.2 million. Credit NCI. This NCI here, you have to recognize it as equity in your group's account. And now you have goodwill. So this goodwill will be an asset to the group arising from your consolidation, 9.3 million. Okay. Okay, so far we have just only completed, I think, maybe about 20, you can say 20% of the adjustment here. Okay. Okay, now I just want to ask all of you again, can I move to the next adjustment? If everybody is okay, you just need to show thumbs up. Oh, okay, all good. Okay, hang in there. We still got a few more adjustments to go, and then after that, I will stop the tutorial because it's too much really, too much information, and it might be too much information overload. Okay, so what I will do now is we done group structure, we done investment in sub-C, we calculate the goodwill, and then we did the journal entry adjustment. Okay, now we're going to move to the next part is looking at all the intra-group transaction that happened. Okay, let's look at the first one. Okay, the first one here, it says that, look at this sentence. They say that this would lead to a reduction of depreciation charge in cost of sale by 50K in the post-acquisition period. Okay, remember our property, we reduce the value by 1.2 million, right? So when you reduce your property by 1.2 million, it actually causes your depreciation to decrease, and decrease by how much? By 50K. And they say that depreciation is charged to cost of sale. Okay, take note that Bangkok has not made any adjustment to their financial statement. So what must you do now is you have to take into account this decrease in depreciation. So what accounts must you adjust? Reduce depreciation. If you have lower depreciation, what happens to your asset, your PPE? PPE will be higher, right? Because now less depreciation. And then if you lower your depreciation, what happens to your expenses? Expenses also decrease. What happens to your profit? Your profit will increase. So what will be your journal entry adjustment? Debit PPE by 50K because of the reduction in depreciation of property, and you credit cost of sale. So cost of sale, if you reduce your cost of sale, what happens? Increase your profit. So reduction in property, plant and equipment, 50. Okay, let's see. Vishnu, yeah, you mentioned debit, PPE, credit, cost of sale. Very good. This will be your journal entry adjustment. Okay. Okay. Everyone is doing good. Oh, so far it's raining very heavily outside now. That's why it's a bit dark, dark now. Okay. Okay, if everybody is okay with this one, I got 2 more adjustments to go before I end the tutorial. Okay. Okay, everybody all good? Doing good? Okay, I hope everyone is still with me. Still got two more to go. I'm not so sure whether you can hear the thunder, the lightning sound, and the rain sound. Okay, we are going to go to the next adjustment. Okay, the next adjustment here relates to this sentence. Okay, look at this part here. I point the arrow. It says that Penang Group policy is to revalue all its property to current value at the end of the year. Okay, and they say that on the balance sheet date, the value of Bangkok's property remains unchanged. So they say that the fair value is the same as the carrying amount, except for Penang's property. So Penang's property has increased in value by 500K. And if you look into your SCI, can you see there is a gain on revaluation of land, 500K? Okay, now my question to the whole class is, um, do you need to adjust this 500K? Okay, what do you think? Do you need to make some journal entry adjustment to take into account this 500K? Okay. Okay, anyone wants to guess? Because they say that the land element of Penang property had increased in value by 500K. So do you need to do anything from your group perspective? From the group perspective, because this 500K is already recognized in Penang's Berhad account, so this adjustment here don't need to do anything. Just cross this out from the group perspective because they already recorded this transaction 500K in Penang's Berhad account. Okay, so this additional information here is just to confuse all of you. Okay, I have one question here. Vishnu mentioned that Miss, if they didn't, then depreciation was in cost on sale, then which account do we credit? Okay, Vishnu, very good question here. If the question do not mention where to charge your depreciation usually you put it under admin expenses. Unless they mention is charged to cost of sale, then you have to specifically put it to cost of sale. Okay, is everyone still with me? Just to double confirm. Yes, right? Okay, very good. I hope you are not lost. Huh? Okay, what we will do is we got one more final adjustment. Okay, last one. Just hang in there with me. Okay, last one. Intra-group sales of inventory. Okay, this intra-group sales of inventory you learn in lecture 2 already. We know that parent cannot buy from themselves and subsea cannot buy or sell from themselves. Okay, so now look at the adjustment. Start from here. Sales from Bangkok. So Bangkok is subsea. Okay, now subsea is selling to Penang. Penang is parent company. And now I want to ask you, what kind of sales is this? Is this upstream sales or is this downstream sales? Let me ask the class. Okay, very good. Vignesh, Vishnu, Alvin, upstream. That means you are still following me, right? Leong say upstream, very good. Subsea sell to parent upstream sales. So this upstream sale here later the realized profit made by subsea, you have to allocate to NCI. So later on, next week, I'm going to show you how do you adjust your NCI unrealized profit in your consolidated P&L. Okay, so take note on that. So what do you need to do is you just put an asterisk here, upstream sales. Okay. Okay, so they say Bangkok sell to Penang and they sell to Penang Bangkok sell to Penang every month 1 million ringgit. So they are a group. How many months? 4 months. So you have to take 1 million times by 4 months. So the total sales is 4 million ringgit. Okay. Okay. Take note you sales and purchases. So sales and purchases is intra-group balances here. So what must you do is you have to remove out sales and purchases because a group cannot buy from themselves or sell from themselves. So you debit sales 4 million, credit purchases, cost of sale 4 million. So this is to take into account intra-group sales and purchases. Okay. Okay, I just double check with everyone. Okay, so far everyone is doing good. Okay, can everyone follow? I have about 26 students here. Yes, okay, good. I'm not going too slow, right? Okay. Rachel say yes. Jane, okay. Okay. Okay, so Biggie also okay. Okay, so far everyone is doing good. Okay, can follow. Good. Gia. Okay, so far we calculated the sales purchases already. So the next part is we want to find out what is the unrealized profit. And we also want to find out what is the cost of sale. Okay, so how do we find out is you have to read the question. Okay, if you go to this part here, Bangkok made a markup on cost 25% on this sale. Okay, this sentence here, just hold on first. Go to the next sentence. Penang had a 2 million at cost to Penang of inventory that have been supplied in the post-acquisition period. So this 2 million here is actually closing inventory to Penang. So Penang buy 4 million from Bangkok and then they sold 50% to a third party. So at the end of 30th Sep 17, the remaining closing inventory to Penang is 2 million ringgit. Okay. Okay, from the group now. Okay, I'll draw a bigger square. Okay, for group consolidated financial statement, we have to consider them as a group. So for the group perspective, you want to find out what is the cost of to the group, how much do they buy the inventory at cost, and then we know that 50% is sold. So later on, we want to find out what is the group closing inventory. Then from there, you can find out your unrealized profit. Okay, so we know that 50% of this inventory is sold, 50% is not sold because Penang still holds another 2 million of closing inventory. Okay, so how do you find your cost? Not using profit element, but you use markup on cost. Okay, what is markup on cost? Okay, I think I have a question here. Okay, cost of sale 0.75 times 4 million. Okay, let me show you the working first, Vishnu. Markup on cost. How do you find the cost? Okay, markup 25% on sales. So if you mark up your cost, you will take 125 equals to your sales. So your sales is 4 million ringgit, right? So how do you find your cost? Your cost is 100%. So 100 divided by 125 times 4 million. So your cost to the group and also to Bangkok is 3.2 million. Okay, let me check the chat room. Rachel mentioned here that equals to cost times 4 months. Okay, there are a few ways for you to calculate your cost. As long as you get the same answer as me, 3.2 million, then you are okay. Okay, so your cost of sale here from the group perspective is actually 3.2 million. So we know that cost 3.2, you sold 50%. So what is the group closing inventory? Group closing inventory is 1.2 million. Okay, how do you get 1.2 million? 3.2 million is the cost, right? 50% not sold. So you will get the group closing inventory 1.2 million. So from here you can see Penang closing inventory 2 million, group closing inventory is 1.6. So there is an unrealized profit of 400k there. Okay, this unrealized profit here, you know what to do. Take it out because group cannot have unrealized profit, and also you have to adjust your group closing inventory because group closing inventory is only 1.6. So what do you do is credit cost of sale, remove the unrealized profit 400k, and you credit closing inventory, reduce your inventory closing inventory from 2 million to 1.6 to 400k. Okay, I will just stop here, and then I will get some question from the class. Okay, so far, is everybody okay with the intra-group sales of inventory? Miss, I have question here. Miss, for the note 1, the PPE's fair value is higher than its carrying amount. Would the fair value amount still need to be recorded? Which part here, Enqi? PP's fair value is higher. Is it you're mentioning about that 500k there? You can put something here. Okay, Jia Ping, so far okay, right? Okay, the rest of the students, how about the rest of the students? Is everyone doing good? Rachel, okay, doing fine. Gauya also okay. 1.2 million there. This 1.2 million here is already is the difference between your carrying amount and your fair value already. So they say that is okay, that 1.2 million, right? I don't need to do any straight away. I recognize this 1.2 million. I credit property 1.2 million. So you can see that the adjustment I already made in your goodwill calculation and also your journal entry adjustment. Because tutorial 1, I compare fair value with carrying amount, right? But right now here you don't need to compare fair value with carrying amount. Okay, let me show you this part here. This part here, right? You are referring to 1.2 million, right? And she had a fair value of 1.2 million below its carrying amount. Straight away, this is the difference already, below 1.2 million. So it means that they already minus compare fair value with carrying amount. So the difference here is 1.2 million. Okay. Okay. So do you get the answer? Why is 1.2 million? You don't need to go and compare already. Take the figure there and then compare between fair value and carrying amount. Okay, so students, if you do not have any more question, I stop here. I still have one more adjustment to go, which is the investment part. Nurul, Miss, if I would like to view back this tutorial again, where can I find the recording? Can you see the top part there? The top part where there is a camera part up there. If you click the top part there, the very top corner this side, you click, that is the menu bar. And then if the menu bar will drop down, and then you can see sessions recording. So you have to click on the recording, and then you'll find all the recording for last week and this week tutorial. But take note that today's class we just finished, right? BB Collaborate need at least 30 minutes for them to process the video recording for now. Okay, and then after that, you wait 30 minutes later, then you can view the video again already. Okay, so I'll stop here, class. If y'all don't have any more question, that's it for our tutorial. What we will do is next week we will continue with the last adjustment, and then I will do console profit and loss, and also I will do consolidated balance sheet. For those students, if you are stuck last week, this week I got a few adjustments already, right? You can go back and try to do your worksheet. Okay, so I'll see everyone for workshop on Friday. So take care, everyone, and also stay safe. So I'll say goodbye to all of you. Okay, no worries. Welcome, everyone. Rachel, Biggie, Japing, Anchi, okay, Gaoyan. Okay, I hope everyone is okay. If you miss certain parts, you can go back and view the recording after 30 minutes. Okay, thank you, class. Okay, bye. Let me stop the recording.